Gotcha. So I can move on to the next slide, which would be flooding from February 2nd, 2021, and then
okay, yeah, and actually there's a video on there. I don't know if that video will play, but if you can show that, that would be great.
Yep, I can pull that up.
And what that video is going to show you is some of the flooding. That's the Platte River south of Fremont. With the video, there is a little bit of captioning on that, so that will help. But it's going to show some of the places where you can see areas that were flooded, as well as where it's flowing back into the river. But it'll give you an idea of some of the visuals you can get. We also have one of the last things we got is a long video, again, excuse me, that will show some of the stuff that we did with a Mavic 3.
Hi, Jim. They can't hear you over the music on the audio, so we just want to pause for 1 second. We can play your video.
Okay.
Hey, Jim. So I've paused that video now, and I'm going to hide it. So if you want to continue on, the next image.
Let's go to but that kind of shows you gives you an idea of what the pictures look like, aerial photos that we've got. And those are things that you can share with then your emergency manager, share with the people in the EOC. The Corps of Engineers really likes that because they can identify the different types of ice, and they can kind of figure out where we're going to put, where the breaches are in any dikes, things like that. If you want to go to the next slide.
You're on the.
I saw what this is either, Stacy.
Sorry, Jim, didn't hear that. What happened?
I'm sorry. What's the next slide?
Gotcha. We're on the frozen over river on February 20th.
Okay. That'll again, it shows you more of what's there. Is there a video part of that?
Yes, but the audio will wash you out.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and play that video if you would.
Jim, while Stacy is playing that video, do you want to go ahead and try to reboot Adobe Connect?
That's what I'm doing, yeah. And I'm actually going to try an Ethernet too if I can get it to do. You want to let me know when that's finished playing.
Jim, the video is done. How is your Adobe Connect?
Okay, yeah, it's still pulling things up. I'm still working on it. I'm going to try an Ethernet cable here and see if that'll help. Unfortunately, my cable provider apparently decided to take the day off or something. It's not working terribly well. I apologize for that. I don't recommend Spectrum, I'll tell you that.
Do you want to open up your PowerPoint slide on your computer, and that way you can tell what slide you're on, and when you advance to the next slide, just say next slide, and either me or Stacy will advance for you?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. It's still, I rebooted my entire computer here, and we're going to see if that works. What's the, you can go to the next slide. What is that one, if you can tell me offhand?
It just says February 26, 21, a warm-up led to a flooding in Colfax.
Okay, yeah, and that's the next one is Colfax County, which is county to the west of us, of Fremont, of Dodge County, where our drone team is. The county, that was a little separate type flooding that was a little bit later in the year. Well, a few weeks after the flooding in Dodge County, there was another ice jam that developed in Cumming County, which, like I say, is the county just to the west of us. So our Dodge County Emergency Manager, working with his partners in the next counties over, kind of loaned us out. We're going to go ahead and skip the video on that one. It shows it's similar type of flooding to what you've already seen with the other two videos. So we won't go into that as much. Let's skip to the next video, or the next slide, please.
Okay, it says what we can do, or what we could do.
Oh, yeah, just some of the things. One of the primary things, if you notice, there's a building there with the roof caved in. Fairly tall building in one of those pictures with the roof that has collapsed on it. Now, if we were doing a damage assessment as a CERT team from ground level, how many people would spot that roof caved in just walking around that building? Very few. So we that kind of gives you an idea of some of the one of the things that drones can provide for you as far as damage assessment is be able to give you a top-down look of the damage, that you might not be able to see from ground level. We can look at flooding. We can look at a wide variety of different things. We can, like I say, we can do the search and rescue if we need to in some cases, but it's drones are not necessarily ideal unless, like I say, if you've got somebody moving, it's a little easier. If you have a FLIR on a drone, it's easier to spot a heat source, but there's got to be a big enough temperature difference between what you're looking for, your search item, and the ground. If you're in the summertime, it's really difficult to spot somebody that is if their body temperature is approximately what the air temperature is, it's going to make it much more difficult to see that. Hopefully, I'm coming up here in just a second back into the room. Can you give me, I don't have the picture yet of the, what else is on that slide. Can you kind of give me an idea there, Suva?
I think you covered it. It was pictures of the building with the broken roof.
Okay.
It looks like a wide shot of some icy of a town, and a top shot of a section of a neighborhood.
Okay, outstanding. Let's go to the next slide, please.
The next slide is limitations.
Okay, and those are some of the things that are going to make it more difficult. Battery life is one. Again, the inability to do that. If it's raining, you're not going to be able to fly. So weather is somewhat of an issue. Darkness can be an issue. You're not going to be able to pick up much at night. But again, we can't do that with aircraft or helicopters to a great extent either. But you can just, that kind of gives you a list of some of the things that drones can't do. There's some things they can be a wonderful tool, but there's a lot of things that they cannot do. So they're not going to be perfect for everything, but you have to view them as a tool. If you've got any questions on that, we'll deal with those towards the end here. Let's go to the next slide, please.
So once again, Jim, if your screen is not pulling up, do you have a copy of your PowerPoint on your desktop that you can open up?
I'm working on it. It's for some reason the whole computer's being slow now. I think it's trying to do too many different things here.
Okay, so the next slide is tactics and strategy.
Okay, and how we do this is we will use a team, a 3-person team to, for the most part, you can do it with 2, but it works better with 3 to do a drone mission. The pilot, basically, the only thing he's going to do is fly the drone and keep an eye on the drone. Then an observer or he's going to, and what we do is we attach, we'll use like an iPad to help, get a little bit better idea of what's going on, and you can attach that. We use the RC Pro controller on the Mavic 3, and that allows us to hook directly into the controller with an iPad, and that's the person that is going to be directing the mission. He's going to tell the pilot, move right, move left, go, higher, lower, and kind of be running the videos or photographs, depending on what we're doing. So those are the 2 basic people on the team. The other person would be kind of the safety person who will try to keep people from interfering with the pilot, because you'll get people come up and ask you, what are you doing? How you doing this? Kind of a little bit of crowd control to an extent, and safety. One of the other things that we carry is an aircraft transceiver, a radio that uses aircraft frequencies, so we can listen in case there's any aircraft in the area. Now, drones, you can't fly over 400 feet, or you're not legally supposed to fly them over 400 feet. And we all know there are a few people that may go a little higher than that, as well as pilots in aircraft are not supposed to go below 500. So you got a 100-foot difference there. But there's also pilots out there that don't necessarily follow the rules and maybe a little bit lower than what they should. So it's kind of important to, if you've got an aircraft transceiver, you can monitor the radio frequencies for aircraft, so you know if they're going to be in the area. So it kind of gives you a little extra safety value there. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Next slide is safety.
Yeah, and again, safety is always a primary concern with anything that we do with CERT. As we know, that's one of the things that we want to do is stay safe no matter what. We are always going to err on the side of safety. So you want to stay out of you're not going to drive through flooded areas. You're not going to operate in an unsafe manner, and we always want to make sure that we are using the drones safely, not flying where we don't want to be, as well as keeping an eye on the aircraft. You're kind of limited as a pilot to staying in visual range. You want to keep the drone in visual range at all times, and you just want to keep everybody safe. You're not going to fly over crowds you know, that type of thing.
Okay, the next slide is prerequisite training and skills.
Right. We recommend that you have the Part 107 for drone pilots, which it's not an absolute necessity. Since we're flying drones as volunteers, legally you don't have to have the Part 107. It's recommended just because you have a better idea of some of the requirements and some of the safety items. If you've got that certification, as well as from a liability standpoint, it just shows that you've got a little extra training that does help. You want to be able to, you want a good drone with extra batteries. Again, it doesn't hurt to have you need plenty of video cards or SD cards so that you can transfer that information from the drone into the you know, to the emergency management people. I'm hating my computer right now. Oh, my presentation's just coming up here, just a sec. And I'll hopefully be able to talk more coherently with you. But those are some of the things you need. You need some way to download the information, and you always make backup copies. Before you pass the information along to the emergency manager, you want to be able to have a backup copy in case something gets lost. It's important to have things like that. With the drone that we've got, with the Mavic 3, we now have the ability to broadcast directly with through a Wi-Fi connection, and that's something else that you want is a Wi-Fi hotspot, just in case you're in an area where you cannot talk or have you know, a Wi-Fi connection out there, so that you can get something. We can broadcast directly to the EOC via the drone, you know, with the drone with through the RC Pro controller.
Hey, Jim, if you want, I can move over to your next slide.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide.
Now you're on equipment.
Okay, and the equipment again, we've used a variety of different drones in the past and had good success with all of them. But the Mavic 3 is, and I mean, you use the drone that works best for your team and what you're familiar with. There's no substitute for experience in flying a particular drone. So the more times that you can fly that particular drone, the better. But if you're going to have, one of the things that we recommend is that the Mavic 3 works very, very well for what we're doing because of the optical zoom, as well as it gives you long battery life. The RC Pro controller is another extra added item that that works very well with that particular unit because it gives you the ability to broadcast through the controller itself, and it gives you a little bit bigger screen, but gives you the ability to get the aircraft out to, or the information out to the EOC directly. You need extra batteries again, and video cards again, so that you can get that the information to the EOC. Let's go to the next thing.
The next slide is live stream.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. This is a few minutes long. This is an example of how we can do the actual fly a mission. The two pilots that you're going to see are Isaac Piper and Cameron Graham, and Isaac will be flying the drone. Cameron will be running the iPad, so he's basically in charge of the mission. And you're going to see the other two people in the video are me and Tom Smith, our Dodge County Emergency Manager, sitting in the EOC about 40 miles away. And this will give you an idea of how good a drone can be immediately after an incident. They're gonna fly a mission, excuse me, using the drone, and you're going to be able to see the drone live. We're getting the picture live at the EOC 40 miles away from where they're flying the drone. And it'll kind of give you an idea of how important this can be. Just think about if you had a tornado come through your town, and you could get a drone up to give a visual immediately after the tornado had been through, how important that would be to emergency management. So if you want to go ahead and play that video.
Welcome to Dodge County Emergency Manager Drone Team. Our CERT drone team, we're going to be doing a little bit of showing you how things work out here. My name is Isaac, and this is my friend Cameron. In the Emergency Operations Center, we have our Operations Manager Tom Smith, and then our other drone pilot, Jim Cuttis. And we're going to be doing some things today, showing you a little bit about how all this works, and or at least how we do it. There's our drone coming up, and you can see the view from the drone. Pretty sweet stuff here. Okay. All right. Now, what I've got here with my partner here, Cameron, is he's going to be acting as my observer. And the way that we do this is we have a tendency to work in two-person teams. We have a pilot who's in control of the aircraft at all times, and our observer is using a second screen of some kind to be able to actually watch the output from the camera. That's their entire job. My job is going to be to watch the drone at all times. I can glance down and look at my controller for reference as needed, but the main idea here is to be able to control the drone and keep it away from all obstacles and all dangers. Okay? All right. So, ready? I'm ready, if you are. Everybody ready? Okay. Tom and Jim? All right, here we go. We're going to get this thing up in the air and give it a shot. Go ahead, Cameron. All right, so there's our drone up in the air. And we're going to fly a bit downriver, so we're going to go up. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, my goodness. The water's way down, so you're seeing these amazing sandbars. So I think that is incredibly cool. Let me know when we get down to our target, right about there, I think.
We're going to take a look at this.
Okay, turn around and take a look at us. So I'm going to rotate to the right. Tell me when I'm in the right direction.
Keep going.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay, I'm going to rotate.
Center up, bridge, a little bit to your right.
A little bit more to the right, okay. Like that?
A little more.
A little more, okay.
All right, good.
Rotate camera up. Go in.
Good. Lower altitude.
Lower altitude. Coming down.
Tilt down.
Okay. Tilt down the camera a little bit. Got it?
There you go.
Right there. Okay. Have a look. Pretty good?
Yep, looks good.
All right, I'm going to take a second. We're going to recenter that a little bit. And we're going to zoom in on that bridge using that zoom feature. Okay, here we go.
Pan down a little bit.
Pan it down.
There, stop.
There. Right. Okay.
A little more. A little more. There we are.
Yeah, there we are standing on the bridge, huh?
Nope, now you're going past. Yep.
You got us? Okay. Look and see the water flow, right?
Yep.
Is that what we want?
Yep.
Okay. Let it sit for a few seconds.
Can you get a little lower so we can actually see the current?
Okay, yep.
Drop down.
Gonna come down. Come down to, tell me how low you want to go, 150?
150.
Okay. So when I'm there.
Yep, good.
What altitude did you start at?
We started at 400. Started at 400 feet. Okay, so rotate a little bit right, you think?
Yep.
Okay.
I want to follow that channel.
Follow that channel. Okay. Okay, looking. I'm going to pause for a second to see the flow. So zoom in.
Yep.
Zooming in.
Scroll down a little bit. So get up the sandbar.
Rotate down. Okay.
More.
It's really flat today.
There we go.
Hard to see it. Okay. Drone is clear. All right. And now our emergency manager has instructed us. He wants us to look upriver and downriver. I'm going to zoom out here. Also side to side of the river. There's a side river shot. Here's a downriver shot. I'm going to look right here some. Zoom in right there. See the movement of the water. So back to the EOC, can you actually see the movement of the water? Is it clear enough?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we can move that water.
That's pretty impressive, I think. All right, we're going to zoom out. I'm going to give a western looking shot. Get down there. There we go. We can really see it now because of the glinting of the sun. Oh boy. Water's moving pretty good right there. Okay. Are we ready to come back, Cameron?
Yep. There's the camera forward. Let's rotate back to the bridge.
All right. I'm watching the drone. Tell me when I'm facing the right direction.
There we are.
Okay. Fly. There we go. Coming back.
Isaac, when you come back, can you go under the bridge? Show us under the bridge.
Oh, you want to see under the bridge?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right. Slow down.
Okay. Coming down.
Yep, watch the drone so we can get
Watching the drone. Yes, sir. Thanks for the reminder. It's real easy to get tunnel vision. Real easy to get tunnel vision looking at it like this and then forgetting the fact that it's up in the air and there could be obstacles. So,
all right.
Drone looks good. Drone looks good. It's right here over the center of the river.
You're still clear. You've got a little more bridge to go. I'm seeing there. Keep going.
I'm going to turn this way. The trees are making me nervous, even though we got a obstacle avoidance system.
Yeah, can you zoom in, center that and zoom it in. Keep going left. There we go.
Okay.
Now
Right.
can you rotate left, kind of look at the structure on the side?
Rotate left, look at the structure on the side.
There we go, right there. There's still flow under the river, so it looks good.
Okay, what should we do next? We had one more thing planned, didn't we, sir?
Yes. Little hide and seek.
Little hide and seek. All right. Oh, you told me we're doing Ellsbury Nicholsworth. Have a look for that guy. Can't seem to not get lost. All right, max altitude.
Lower to 150.
Lower the altitude to 150?
Yep.
All right. Coming down to 150. Why 150?
Small little objects, like a person not moving, it's easier to see until you can zoom in on.
Yep.
Let's go forward, crawl forward, and see what we see.
All right, crawling forward. See what we see.
One of the things you can see on the video is how much much zoom we can get with that camera on the Mavic 3.
61%.
Rotate left a little. All right, go slow.
Slowing down. What's that right there?
Zoom in and see.
Oh, tree branch.
But I still got John here.
Wait a minute.
Yep, I'm just pausing so you can speak before the video comes in.
Okay.
Something white.
Something white. Oh, hey, look at that. Look at that. There's our Ellsbury. Oh. Look, you zoomed in and the camera gets a bit more sensitive in swing. All right, keep it in center. All right, there we go. How's that? Looking good?
Yep.
All right. Okay, I'm rotating around. And we're coming back in. Here we go. All right, gentlemen, is there anything else you want to see before we put the bird down?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's essentially the process, and that's how we do what we do.
Getting the videos done.
Okay, that kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that we can do with the that. Again, you can imagine what that would be like for people at an EOC to actually see what's going on immediately, rather than someone taking photos and then having to drive back to the EOC and then download the photos there, where you can get it live. Looking at some of the questions here, somebody asked what we're referring to when we talk about, you do need, one of the questions, Mark Mondello just said, don't you need internet to stream? Yes, that's why we always carry a hotspot with us. Somebody asked about the Shopco drone reference. That was in some of the problem that we had in the very, very beginning were people using some of the drone stuff that we were getting were just very, very cheap drones with horrible cameras on them, and pilots that really didn't know what they were doing. That's why we identified the fact that we needed to have the ability to fly a drone that was good quality drone with pilots that were experienced enough to be able to fly a mission correctly.
Hey, Jim, I'm just going to pop in here for a second. We're actually going to have the host moderate the Q&A, so you can just sit back and answer while he sorts through them.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Great. So, Rick, on to you.
Thank you, Stacy. Jim, there's a lot of questions, as you see in the chat box, about the technical aspects of the drone. Basically, the ceiling, and you've covered that, the 400 AGL ceiling for the drone. But also, they're asking about what's the average distance between the drone itself and your spotter and also the pilot? We'll start with that one.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the pilot's eyesight. The rules are, the FAA rule is, you have to keep visual sight of the drone at all times.
It's line of sight.
It's line of sight. You got to be able to keep an eye on the drone at all times. Now, there are things that you can do that will help increase the visibility of the drone. You may have noticed in some of the videos the orange props on some of the drones, and those will increase the visual. You can also add a strobe that will give you a little bit more in the daytime. At night, obviously, you can see a drone further with the strobe on it, but a strobe on the even during the daytime can help a little bit. There are people that will use like a relay type of thing where they'll have somebody further out so that they can see. Technically, that is not according to FAA regulations. The pilot should have visual sight of the drone at all times. It does help if you've got a couple of people, so that if the pilot happens to look down a little bit and just to check the controls, make sure something's going on, and then looks back up and doesn't have it again, somebody else can say it's right over here, and so he can reacquire that way. But you're supposed to keep visual sight. I did see there was a question about getting waivers for line of sight. We actually tried that because of the number of trees and things that we've got in the area, and that is very, very, very difficult. Even with a letter from the local emergency manager, the FAA would not grant that.
Okay, so line of sight. So let me ask you, is a drone capable, or can a drone be made capable with GPS and be able to track it either on another laptop or another handheld device to assist you with that line of sight?
Yeah, you can, and a lot of times, because you can see the visual image on the controller that you're using for the drone, sometimes you can tell kind of based on what the drone is looking at where you're at also.
Okay.
I mean, you can probably
how do you coordinate practice sessions with your drone team, and who do you notify prior to a drone mission?
We are usually given the drone, for an actual drone mission, we're usually dispatched by the emergency manager, our local emergency manager. We don't self-dispatch. All missions will come through the emergency management team. But we do training on a very regular basis. We'll get together well, as an example, last weekend, we coordinated that with the emergency manager. But last Saturday, the team was out flying for about 4 hours, just for practice. But we'll get the team together on a regular basis, and we're continually training, because the more times you work together, the easier it becomes, and the more fluid it becomes, and the safer it becomes.
In Dodge County, Jim, do you have a regional or a local airport that you also coordinate with prior to putting the drone into flight?
We do have a small airport here that's a Class E, so we can pretty much, if there's going to be anything in the area, if we're going to be anywhere close, we will give the airport a call. But that's one of the advantages to having the aircraft band radio, is we can monitor any incoming aircraft in the area. But we don't have, it's not a very busy airport. It's just a private airport as far as, or, it's a public air, but it's not a large, it's not a control tower airport at all.
Okay. You mentioned OBS Studio, as noted on the equipment slide. For those that don't know what that means, can you explain what OBS Studio was describing?
It is an app basically that you can download, that you can use for basically like stitching together the maps and things like that, for doing orthomosaic mapping and that type of thing. So it's another tool as far as presentation. One of the slides, let's see if I can actually go back now, if it's going to let me.
Hey, Jim, you can just click the arrow at the bottom of the slide deck. If you click.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this picture that you've seen now, under what we can do, those are some orthomosaic maps. The two on the right side there are orthomosaic maps of areas that we did, and those are a variety of pictures that were stitched together into a one big picture. So that was, there's a bunch of photographs there that were stitched together into one.
Okay, next question is, Jim, the next question is, in line of sight operation, the range itself is basically what the pilot can see, but a question is, what type of range are you getting on your drones? And I'm guessing that this is more of a time sequence. If you have a battery that's 45 minutes charge, you don't want to fly over, say, 35 minutes, leaving you a 10-minute capability to get back just in case. Is that correct?
Correct. Our standard that we go by is we try to have the drone back on the ground with about 20% battery left, and you will get you do have the battery life on the screen with when you're flying the drone. It'll tell you how much battery life you've got left, and we try to always maintain a 20% reserve just in case.
I have witnessed a number of not only CERT teams but also USAR and law enforcement teams utilizing drones. They normally outfit a light storage trailer. Do you do the same and have basically a workshop, battery recharge site, and set up a landing pad?
We always use a landing pad because it identifies where the drone is going to land, and that's part of the safety program for it. We are working on getting a new control, basically a vehicle or trailer that we can use for this. The county does have a communications trailer that we have worked with, and actually it's got a big screen, large screen TV in there that we can project to when we need to also. That's kind of a mobile command site. But we are working towards that. Right now, for the most part, we're working out of a van. But we are working, that's actually one of our goals, is to get a trailer set up where we can have everything kind of to do that. So it's an ongoing type thing.
Talk to us about flight in lower temperatures and some of the constraints that that requires.
Lower temperatures will eat up batteries quicker. It does cut down on your battery life. Lower temperatures, the colder it gets, the less your battery's going to hold out. We do. It's one of the reasons it's a good idea to have several batteries. We do keep chargers, have a setup so that we can charge batteries in the field, through the vehicle. And one of the other things that we've got actually for the Phantom 3 drones that we have is I've got a battery charger or a battery warmer that is available on, I picked this one up on Amazon for about $20. I have not seen one for the Mavic 3 yet as far as a battery warmer, but generally the chargers for that, you can charge multiple batteries at a time with the battery packs for those if you get the Flymore kit, and that usually keeps the batteries a little bit warmer when you've got them plugged in like that.
This Mavic 3 drone that you speak of, what are the dimensions of this, the physical dimensions of the drone itself, and could it be utilized indoors?
The Mavic 3 is a little bit big. I mean, if you've got like a warehouse type building, you can do it. For getting into small areas, I use a Mavic Mini, which is my own drone. It's a smaller drone. It does not have the proximity sensors on it that like the Mavic 3 has got a proximity sensor. So if it gets within about 18 inches of something, like if you're going to try to fly it through a window, it's not going to go. It's going to say, nope, there's not enough room there. Where the Mavic Mini, you can actually fly. I've actually flown into windows and looked around inside of buildings. So it's kind of a scary thing to do sometimes, just because of the you got a good chance of losing your drone if you're not very careful, because it's hard to see everything. So you got to be very careful about it. But the Mavic 3 actually folds up, and everything that that you can that you need, including batteries, the controller, everything else, will fit into a fairly medium-sized backpack. So when unfolded, the Mavic 3 is probably about 24 inches by 24 inches with everything extended on it. But it's not, so, and it does fold up. It's fairly, small little, not a huge item at all.
Okay, I asked that question because there were a couple of questions on there about using it in collapsed buildings or interior, but you primarily do USAR work outdoors, and you use this for, in this instance, for the floodplain management aspect of it, being able to record where the damage is and things of that sort. Are there other types of sensors that you haven't spoken to that you're interested in trying to utilize for your drones?
The next thing that if we were going to acquire something else would be something with FLIR, forward looking infrared, so that with that you can look at temperature differentials, and so that can be used as far as locating people, or heat sources would be the other thing that we could use. And there are actually Civil Air Patrol, we have a Mavic that does have that, the Mavic 1 that does have the heat source, and the or an infrared camera on it, and it can be helpful in some areas too. Like I say, that would be more towards your search and rescue aspect.
Can these drones be outfitted as a radio relay as they are set up now, or does that require additional equipment?
Well, you'd actually need probably a little bit larger drone. It depends a little on the size, or what you're looking for a repeater. But the smaller drones like this are not going to carry a ton of weight. You can carry some stuff with them, but you're not going to be able to put like a 40-pound repeater on it for doing something like that. There are drones that are large enough that will carry a large enough payload to do that, but we don't have that capability at this point.
Okay. Here's another question for you, Jim. How do you control the airspace post-incident to keep the plethora of curious drone pilots and/or bloggers out of the area and only authorized flights in an incident area? Do you have control over that?
Not much. There's a little bit that you can do. You can talk with your local law enforcement as far as keeping other people out of the area, but unfortunately, most of the laws, there's not a lot they can do about it. There's very little, as long as they're not violating trespassing laws, there's not much going to happen. They can ask them to stay out of the area, but as far as getting a flight restriction in a particular area for drones is very difficult. It's just because of the FAA does not get that involved with a lot of these, with the drone flights in a particular area. One of the videos, while we were doing the video in Colfax County, as a matter of fact, we actually had to bring one of our drones in because there was another drone pilot that was at least a mile away. So he was not flying according to rules and keeping it within visual eyesight. We had another drone come flying through the area while we were trying to do some emission over the river, that we had permission to be in the area. He did not, but he was far enough away that we did not have control, over him at that point, and he was flying not in line of sight. So you're always going to have that.
Have you had any issues with interference from wildlife?
The only problems that we've had at this point are birds. Are usually the biggest problem. Swallows around bridges can be a huge thing, and then we've got a lot of eagles in our area, hawks and eagles, and they get a little interested in some of the flying that you do too. So, and you're not going to win a battle with an eagle.
You've never had it taken attacked by one of the raptors?
No, not at least not at this point, but usually if we've got a large raptor in the area that starts looking like he's going to take an interest, we'll bring the drone to a different area. We give them
Jim, since your team is dispatched by your county emergency managers, I'm assuming either they or your organization, whether that be the Civil Air Patrol or the group that you of drone pilots, the question is, what about insurance, liability insurance for you as a member? Is that handled by the county on mission?
Actually, you can get insurance on the drone. Although if you are doing, there's a lot of, you got to look at the policies really closely, because some of the drone policies will not cover you if you're doing if you're flying as a 107 qualified pilot. For some reason, if you're getting paid, they don't want to cover you. But as volunteers, usually we're covered, with what we've got on our own drones. And actually one of the reasons that the county decided to buy us a drone was because he was afraid that as much flying as we were doing over water and ice, that if we lost one of our own drones, he would hate to that we would be out that money. So that's one of the reasons that the county got a grant and purchased a drone for us.
The next question is something that I'm sure that you've been asked before, and it's basically a privacy issue about you flying drones over private property. How do you mitigate that?
We try as much as possible. We're not going to, if it's going to be in an area where there's housing and that people's private property, we try to at least inform or let the property owner know what's going on. In most cases, it's not an issue. Some of the flying that we did for the looking at the along the river there, we went up to a house and knocked on the door and asked them if we could take off from their backyard, and they were more than happy to let us do that, just because of they wanted to be safe. They wanted they thought it was pretty cool that we were doing this, but since it was we were doing it to help them and protect their property, it wasn't a huge issue. Obviously, we are not going to fly along and so that it looks like we're looking inside houses of people that are there, unless the house is severely damaged. And we're going to be high enough usually over houses. A lot of the ones you saw in some of the early videos, matter of fact, one of those is my boss's house that we were flying over in one of those early videos. So we're high enough that it's not going to be an issue as far as seeing something that we shouldn't. But again, you try to get permission.
When you are taking video and you're doing live feed video, is any of that video encrypted?
No.
Okay, so you're not worried about somebody being able to tap in and download the video as well?
Not really. We're not shooting anything that's going to be something that would be terribly, a big problem. We're not going to overfly any military bases. We're not overflying nuclear power plants or any other kind of power plants, things like that. If we were going to be doing that, we would not we would not live stream that video.
Okay. We have a question about any written SOPs or protocols that you could share, possibly pushing it back through Stacy and then possibly feeding it out to the group. Is there anything that you'd be willing to share?
Certainly, we can do that. Yeah, if just get me emails or whatever, and I can get that sent out.
Okay. So that's a due out from us. Let's see. Another question is, have you ever utilized the drones to deliver additional equipment or anything within its payload capability during a response?
We have not with our drones. They do make some drop kits, that you can use for delivering things. We have not at this point with any of ours. At one time with Civil Air Patrol, we did have a drone that did have a drop kit on it, and I mean we dropped off water bottles and things like that to teams just as a test, but have not done a lot of the that type of thing, and we don't have the drop kits on our drones at this point.
Okay, thank you. I see that Stacy's put in a note about if you're wanting some SOP or other information. She's given the URL for FEMA Region 2. Also, John Wacky has put in all one word, droneresponders.org. He states that's a good place for SOPs as well. Let's see. Not seeing any other questions. Final thoughts and comments, Jim, for the group?
Again, thank you for doing this. I apologize for my technical issues. Hopefully you've got the information that you need. If you've got any questions, I'm always willing to answer those. Just if you've got any questions or need any further information or anything I can do for you, just give me an email and I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Jim. Stacy, can you go there you go, there's the poll. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed the presentation and take some time to answer a few brief questions for us about the webinar today so we can continue to provide informative and engaging webinars. You can see the polls on the screen now. We also have some webinar links on the screen. Please join us for these, the next topic, self-care for first responders. Again, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to give you back a couple of minutes of your time. We hope that you continue to join us for the rest of our series this year. So thank you very much. Please fill out the poll. It's very important for us. And Jim, thank you very much. Very informative.
Thank you.